Hello, we're live. We're live, everybody. Oh, I can see you guys. Just wave your hands. Yes, good.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, back on me. You're probably 6 feet away, so I don't need to wear a mask. Okay, welcome to this first attempt. I don't know how many people are here. For now, I see 0, but that's very encouraging. And we're about to begin our weekly meditation by taking refuge and generating the enlightened mind attitude and reciting the 4 immeasurables. So if you have the text, please join us. Until I have reached full awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By means of beneficial actions such as generosity, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By means of beneficial actions such as generosity, may I attain enlightenment in order to benefit beings. Until I have reached full awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By means of beneficial actions such as generosity, may I attain enlightenment in order to benefit beings. May all beings find happiness in the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the perfect happiness that is free from suffering. May they abide in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings find happiness in the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the perfect happiness that is free from suffering. May they abide in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings find happiness in the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the perfect happiness that is free from suffering. May they abide in great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Let's take a moment to make sure we are here. Whatever we've been doing before coming here, we just let it fade away in the past. Whatever we might have to do in the future, we leave it on hold for now. We become aware that we are sitting, that we are breathing in this beautiful environment, noticing all the fragrances and different sense perceptions as we are outside. Now that we are here in this present moment, we can turn our attention to what is, what happens. And first we pay attention to our posture. The way we sit has a direct influence on the state of our mind, so it's very important. We feel the connection with the ground, whether we sit on a chair or directly on the floor. We feel the stability we gain through this contact. Maybe a sense of gratitude comes in our heart for the stability that is offered to us. Our hands may be resting palms down, flat on our thighs, or in a meditation gesture, the right hand and the left, both resting in the palms, in the laps. Our back is straight, without unnecessary tension, like the trunk of a large tree. Our shoulders are slightly outstretched. And as we breathe in and out, we come to sense our center of gravity slightly below our navel. Our chin is slightly tucked in, but the neck is not stiff. Our gaze is directly in front of us, slightly downward in a soft and open vision of what is in front of us. The lips are relaxed, maybe in a half smile, and the tongue is lightly touching the palate. Breath comes and goes mostly through our nostrils in a natural fashion that we don't need to alter. We notice the movement of the breath, sometimes deep and sometimes more shallow, sometimes fairly slow and sometimes a little bit more rapid. Now and then, if we find it more comfortable, we can also keep our eyes closed. Thoughts come and go. They arise and they disappear. They are not our enemies. We don't have to push them away violently, yet we don't have to entertain them endlessly either. Just like the other sense perceptions, they may arise through causes and conditions, have a certain duration, and then disappear back to the space that produced them, that is the mind. We might at times find out that we have been drifting away following a train of thoughts. When we notice it, far from scolding ourselves, we simply disengage and come back to our breath. If counting the rounds of breath helps, please do. But when your mind finds spaciousness, ease, and a freedom from the movement of thoughts, please abide there in the peace and spaciousness that you have discovered. When that goes away, don't be puzzled. Don't be troubled by movement. Don't be attached to stillness. Feel free to move a bit, stretch, stand up if you need. The practice of calm abiding, as we just did, sort of a necessary preparation work. It's an essential training, but that's not the end game. It's important to come to a point where we have a reliable mind, that is a mind that is not carried away by its own construction, thoughts and ideas related to the past or the future, and who is able to remain wherever it is placed on whatever topic we'd like to explore. So that's why we do this first part, calm abiding. Very briefly, calm abiding means to calm not the production or the movement of thoughts, but to calm down the control that we tend to cultivate over these thoughts. We want to cast away some, and then we want to promote some others, and we're constantly struggling with them. And the main effect, actually reflecting the cause, is that we tend to believe that they're real. Because we're so much involved in trying to subdue them or promote them that in our understanding they must have some sort of reality and importance. So that's the cause. We believe that these thoughts are real and that they have a sort of a substantial existence almost, that they have some sort of influence on me. So that reinforces the belief that the me exists. One is just a cognizant quality of mind upon which we superimpose the concept of someone having this experience, or a knower. One is just a natural quality of mind to be cognizant. And all the thoughts that we are aware of, and the sense perceptions, they're just a natural also creativity of mind. Mind is cognizant, therefore senses and perceives different objects and can relate to different objects through our sensory gates, but also mental objects. So if we pacify the constant concern of the observer about controlling thoughts, we step back, so to say, from this habit. That's pacifying. And then when we pacify, what we discover is a sense of, a general sense of well-being, because there's less stress, there's less anxiety, we could say, or expectation. So there's a sense of well-being that is both mental and physical. When the mind is relaxed, then the body is relaxed. But it works the other way around. When your body is in a good posture, in a good place, and relaxed, it influences the mind that in turn becomes a little bit more relaxed. So a general sense of well-being, that's what we discover. That goes along with a sort of a sense of expansion. You know, the mind was very sort of like small when struggling with all the problems. We step back, we let go, we see them arising and disappearing. We don't make a big fuss out of it. There's a sense of expansion. It's like if we drop a very heavy load that we've been carrying. So it's both physical and mental. The mind and the body feels that. So that's a great, we could say, a great perk. Something that we've been really looking for, a sense of comfort, ease, and space. With this sense of spaciousness and peace will come another quality, progressively as we meditate, which is, metaphorically speaking, described as luminosity in Tibetan language. But it doesn't mean that we see lights. Okay, it's, in a way, that's nothing to do with light. Besides the fact that it brings an insight. Shamar Rinpoche used to refer to this quality as the reflexive awareness. That is, a mind that begins to be aware of itself. A mind that comes to know progressively how it functions in the moment. That is, this mind is clinging on to the reality of this object, this thought or sense perception. I see that. The mind knows it. So the mind knows itself. Self-aware. And this is a very important quality because this tool will help us to cultivate or make space for discernment. And discernment is of, we use it in common language. Discernment is the ability to use our intelligence to sort out correct from false or right from wrong, and we use our intelligence, our capacity to analyze situations and so on and so forth, and we come to a point where we can think clearly. Just put it like this, very simply. We are not carried away by habits or by myth or by doctrines or anything. We are more factual, but a factual that is not biased by our own preferences. We're not factual on what we like and unfactual or not factual on what you don't like. You look at things evenly. So you have a how do you say that in English? A good, clear look at yourself and the way you think. So that's discernment. And we all know how important is discernment because that helps us to go through life without too much trouble. Not being a sort of an elephant in a china shop. And our relations are easier, and we are maybe more friendly, and maybe more patient, more understanding. So all of these come from this basic, fundamental discernment, common sense. Common sense. Now I tend to think in those days it's more like uncommon sense, extraordinary sense. But, that's the basic sense. That will create a good basis for the extraordinary form of discernment, which in Buddhism is referred to as insight. So, insight, one word in English, will change as it grows. First, insight is this reflexive awareness. The mind begins to see itself, understand how it works, and know itself. The second form of insight can be called a deeper vision of reality. We move beyond the way things appear to our senses and our habits towards the way they are. A vision of the way things are. That is, for example, the fact that all phenomena do not exist in and of themselves. They are all a collection of different factors and elements that create this particular phenomena, this particular understanding. Everything is of a compounded nature. Compounded and produced through interdependent creation, we could say. Different physical elements, mental elements, emotional elements come together and give this, produce this movie of our experience, movie of our life. Okay, We begin to see that. We begin to see the way this movie of our life is made. And we see the stitches. We begin to see how it organizes. It's not like there is a director somewhere who is making a sort of a comedy about me, or tragedy, it depends. No, everything depends, everything leans on something else to be. And at the same time, as we understand this interdependent production, we understand that everything is impermanent. Nothing has a permanent nature, which is a great thing because it allows creativity. One thing has to disappear for another one to come, like a thought has to go for another one to come, or a word has to disappear for another word to come. So impermanence in that sense is a great thing. So that form of discernment is more like insight into the way things are, the way things are produced. So this is a very important form of discernment. And then the third aspect of discernment, we could translate it as wisdom. Once we have gained the mastery, we are fully in control. I don't know if maybe the best word control, but we are in full understanding of interdependent origination and impermanence. In the words of the Karmapa lately, this equals to enlightenment. The full acceptance, the full realization of interdependent origination or production and impermanence is the liberating factor. Liberates from delusion, from habits. We can work through all the karmic scars and the memories that we have and upcycle this instead of being a prisoner of them. And a certain sense of freedom arises that allows us to be less self-centered and sort of more open, more inclusive. We think in network rather than in self-centered mode. And we see that all beings are like us. They are clumsy in their attempt to be happy because mostly they follow their habit, biased by ignorance, and they don't know how things works. And so there is an urge in our mind to say, how can I help? Let me take your load for a while you're sort of thinking about those things. So there's a sort of a deeper sense of connection. It's not that discernment leading to wisdom sort of cuts us from the rest of manifestation, sentient beings, and the universe. It actually reconnects us in a deeper, much deeper fashion. So this is what we are going to explore in the second phase of meditation. The first part is calm abiding, with a sense of spaciousness and well-being, with reflexive awareness. And also a third quality that we discover is that we are not carried away by conceptual movements, by thoughts. It is like we have wagons appear and disappear, cars appearing and disappear, but they don't form a train. So that's a very important, we call it in a very conceptual way, cessation of discursive processes. Cessation of discursive processes. Maybe we could call it CDP. Okay, so that's also an outcome of the practice of calm abiding. So all of this allows us to be at peace, but not create an object of attachment out of the peace that we experience. That's why in the meditation I was saying, don't be bothered by distraction or movement, don't be attached to peace. Both are movement of mind, and they're like, a game of light and shadow. So when we have this, then we can explore discernment or insight. In Sanskrit we use the word vipassana. Tibetan use the word hlaktung. Hlak means superior in the sense of not common, like a little bit above the common thinking. Tong means to really see. So see with a little bit of perspective. And when we have this moment of peace and quietness, then we can place our attention, let's say, on a sound or perception, and we sort of were able to, it's like if our gaze was a scalpel or a laser, we can take it apart. And the solidity that it seemed that this phenomena had so far begins to be exposed as a fraud. And we see that this is interdependent production, and this is impermanent. And it is neither good nor bad outside of what I project onto it. So this observation of the object leads us quite naturally to the observer. Who is aware of this experience? Who is having this experience? And then we use our laser or scalpel-like mind of discernment to cut into small pieces, to dismantle almost this concept, this very die-hard habit of seeing the cognizant quality of mind as a self. And then we see it as being, again, an interdependent production in an impermanent movement, in a constant change. So the subject is seen as it is, the object is seen as it is, then quite naturally we are led to the third observation, which is, what is the deal between these two not two? And we begin to realize that actually the subject and the object are not so distant, like they were two polarities having some sort of commerce, some sort of exchange, but they are independent one from another. They're interdependently connected. So that's where the old habit of duality is exposed as not being based on any facts, but just a mental construction that turned into a habit that is solidified every instant or every instance of perception or consciousness. And so the work of meditation, if you will, which is not to achieve any of this level, I'm just explaining that we might go through this and we might discover this. They are not a goal, they're just something that appears as we sit in silence, observing our mind. The practice of insight, the practice of vipassana, requires an able mind. And that's why we need to cultivate first calm abiding. Once we have the able mind, then we don't need to cultivate attentiveness in the sense of finding peace and stability, because we have it. Now we can use this mind to look at itself, looking at the phenomena, looking at the cognizer, looking at the relation between the two, and progressively old habits will fall apart. And there is not really much else to do, which is really great. You know, less is better in that sense. You know, it's just spaciousness, awareness, and all the mental construction, all the, we could say, the castle in the sky that brings some expectation, but also some anxiety and suffering, they just fall apart. And then you become more and more free. That's it. Let's do it. Let's do it for a while. So if you want, you can, you know, you have to check with your own mind and how you feel, right? If you feel like, well, I still need to work a little bit on pacifying the mind, then just do that. Cultivate more presence and attentiveness. Just do that. That's fine. When at time you find that you're very peaceful and very spacious and very open, and then you notice everything is very crisp, and nothing is dull, it's really sharp, just be there and enjoy it. When you have this spaciousness, then a sound arises or any form of a phenomena, just direct your attention towards it. What is this? What is it made of? And then at times look at the cognizer, the me so to say, code name for the mind cognizant quality. What is it? What is the relation between the two? And then if at times you get caught up with this and becomes too much thinking, just drop it, come back to your breath, and just relax. Alternate. Moment of insight, moment of simple enjoyment of the peace you find in stability and spaciousness. Okay, so let's do that again. Through this merit, may I attain true omniscience. Then, having overcome all harmful, destructive forces, may I liberate sentient beings from the ocean of existence and its turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. May the most precious mind of awakening that has not yet dawned now rise. Once arisen, may it never decline. May it continue to increase evermore. Thank you all very much. First attempt. Thank you to be so many following this on short notice. Just kidding. Next week I'll try to give you a little bit of more time to be aware of that, and we'll see what comes up. And hi Alma, bonjour, une grosse bise. À bientôt sur les ondes. See you soon. Ciao now. Bye.